Hello, my friends in the film fandom, wherever you may be and however you may be watching. Thank you so much for giving us your time. I was confused today. It's the reason why we're starting late. Normally, I break Jeremy's balls for showing up late all the time because, it's usually him. But today, much like Joe Biden, I did not know what day of the week it was. I just was totally, I swear to God, I thought it was Wednesday all day long. So I came home and did my usual Wednesday stuff around the house and did not know that today was stream day until Jennifer said something about it about 20 minutes ago. But hey, we're here. So I was giving Jeremy bad information all day about our upcoming schedule for the next few days. God, I was just all turned around. So yeah, totally my fault. Totally my fault. But we're here. We're here with two of my amazing co-hosts, starting with my head of life mate, Jeremy. What's up, brother?
I think Frank took one too many to the head because, like you said, it affects your short-term memory loss. Clearly, you had no fucking idea what we were doing.
I
was asking what we were doing Thursday, and you seem pretty sure, but...
Dude, I swear to God, and if that conversation that we were having via text message today was any indication of how confused I was about how certain I was that today was Wednesday and not Tuesday, boy, that was a hard sell. I was 100% convinced that today was Wednesday. And
well, you didn't mention that. I just asked you what we were doing Thursday, and you gave me an answer, and I was like, all right, good enough.
I swear to God, dude, I was way off. I make no excuse. Today was just one of those days where my head was not where it was supposed to be. But with us always, of course, is the Shape Below Star State Marine Text. What's up, brother?
There was a movie called The Dark Knight, and it had a line in it. You either die a hero or you live long enough to see yourself become the villain. Roadhouse has now crossed that line. That's all I'm saying. We've seen the glory days. Now we're on the back nine, but we'll get into it, of course. So,
well, we're not apparently the front nine because they've greenlit a sequel already. We'll talk about that here in a minute. But,
well, that line doesn't take into account Amazon using it as a cash grab for more, but that's beside the point.
True. But we are here to talk about Roadhouse, the 2024 American action film directed by Doug Liman, written by Anthony Bagarozzi and Chuck Mondry, produced by Joel Silver, who produced the original. It is a remake of the original 1989 film of the same name. It stars Jake Gyllenhaal, Daniela Melchior, I know I'm pronouncing that name wrong, Conor McGregor in his feature film debut, J.D. Pardo, Arturo Castro, and Billy Magnussen. Roadhouse premiered on March 8th, 2024 at the opening night of the South by Southwest Festival in Texas and was released by Amazon MGM Studios via Amazon Prime Video on March 21st. It received mixed reviews from critics. On Rotten Tomatoes, 60% of 195 critics' reviews are positive, with an average rating of 5.6 out of 10. The website's consensus review reads, quote, Roadhouse updates a cult classic for a new generation, happily replicating the original's emphasis on cheesy brawn over narrative brains. In March of 2024, Gyllenhaal expressed interest in reprising his starring role in developing a sequel. By May, a sequel was officially announced to be in development, with Gyllenhaal reprising his character. The CEO of Amazon MGM, Jennifer Salk, said that the work on the project was ongoing. We'll talk about whether a sequel is going to work or not, but I mean, let's just talk. Let's concentrate on this movie for right now. Jeremy, I'll come to you first. Give me some quick thoughts on this new updated version of Roadhouse.
Well, I mean, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. It's the same story, the same, same basic plot, just different setting in terms of time and place, and a couple other narrative things that were maybe slightly different, like having the shopkeeper have their own problems, but you don't have somebody coming in, one of his old buddies coming in to help him. But honestly, as a UFC fighter, I'm like, I don't think he really needed it, to be honest, because he took out those like 4 or 5 bikers with no effort. Yeah, I mean, like I said, it was a fun movie. It had some interesting cinematography and camera choices, which were, I mean, I guess it worked. It was a fun movie, but it's no Patrick Swayze, so it's a hard thing it's a hard hurdle to get over. I mean, I'm not saying that doesn't obviously it's the elephant in the room, but I thought it was a fun movie, honestly.
I don't know. Tex, what do you think? Give me some of your quick thoughts.
This is Roadhouse in name only, and literally they named the Roadhouse Roadhouse. That's how creative they were. I mean, good job. Like, if this is what Hollywood can give us, then why are we not doing their job for them? The CGI fight scenes. I mean, there's what was that? I mean, I could pick this thing apart 15 different ways. This movie's do what?
So was it CGI? Because something looked kind of wrong to me. I'm like, it almost looks fake.
Yes.
Okay, so I thought it was.
I don't know exactly.
The camera. I thought because it was too close, it was trying to track them, and I was like, this is CGI or it's like fake or something.
If you're in a fight scene and I'm going to punch you, and then mid punch, you flip the camera around and do it like it's a 180 360 flip around.
Yeah,
but it's jarring. Like I said, I'm no CGI artist, not even pretending to be. But watching these fights, they look cool, but it's like I know something's off. What made the original Roadhouse great was because it was raw and gritty and real. This felt more like a Fast and Furious movie than it did a Roadhouse movie. But I'll get into it further later on. Just quick thoughts. This movie sucks. That's my quick thoughts. But you go ahead, Brian.
Yeah, they actually, I don't know if I put it in my notes for my trivia or not, but they specifically used CGI for the fight scenes to make them look more real so that they wouldn't be, because you can look, even good actors when they throw punches, you kind of tell when they're not really connecting. I mean, we've all been wrestling fans to one extent or another over the course of our lives. So, I mean, the whole like holding the guy's face and punching your hand and then stomping your foot on the mat when you're making contact to make it sound more real. I mean, we've all seen those fake punches before. We were used to seeing them in movies, but they used it to try to make it look more realistic, look like they were actually making contact. I get it. It didn't quite work, but I mean, CGI had to start somewhere. We can go back to the stuff of the 90s, early 2000s when they were really kind of getting the computer stuff ready, and we can pick it apart now because we're now 20 years past that, and we've got the better stuff now. 2024.
This shouldn't still look like it came out of something from 2002.
True, right? but I mean, there's a point in everything that is awesome where it wasn't awesome. So let's just get to like the de-aging stuff that we've seen in Marvel, we've seen in Star Wars and stuff like that. It was really kind of shaky at first. I mean, like the whole thing with Princess Leia at the end of Rogue One was not very good, but they've gotten better at making that happen. Look what they did with Tony Stark in what was it, Endgame? No, Infinity War, when they had that little flashback of him being a teenager. So, I mean, yeah, so it'll get better, but I mean, for this movie, it just didn't really work. I agree with Tex. If you would have called this anything other than Roadhouse, if you just called this Jake Gyllenhaal's a bouncer at a Florida bar, I think it would have probably been looked upon.
That would have been fine. That could have been fine, but it's not Roadhouse.
Yeah, the problem is when you call your movie Roadhouse, there are certain expectations that are carried along with that name.
Yeah.
So, and it's really hard to meet those expectations. Yeah, it's really hard to meet those expectations because at its core, it was kind of the same movie, but but Roadhouse carries a certain expectation, and then you're also walking on the path that was blazed by the late great Patrick Swayze in this role, one of his more iconic roles. It's really hard you can't just put those shoes on and walk that path again. You have to plus it somehow, and I don't think this movie pluses it really that much. But let's take a minute and talk about the work of director Doug Liman. I don't know if I have a picture of Doug Liman or not, but he's made some pretty good movies. I'll go to this because this is one of my favorite shots of the movie right here. But Doug Liman's made some pretty good stuff. He made Swingers in 1996, which made Vince Vaughn a household name. He directed and produced the first Bourne movie, The Bourne Identity, and he was a producer for the rest of them. He did Mr. and Mrs. Smith, another great kind of fun action movie. Jumper, which I think is a strange, crazy sci-fi movie that actually isn't that bad. He did Edge of Tomorrow with Tom Cruise. He did American Made with Tom Cruise. He did that movie Chaos Walking, which I still haven't seen yet, with Tom Holland, where they can kind of read everybody's mind or something like that. It looks interesting.
Dizzy really tried to do where she was not Ray and no one fucking cared.
That one. That's the one. He did plenty of TV. He did that show, The OC, which was really popular. I never watched. He was one of the producers on that terrible Knight Rider remake that came out in 2008, where they tried to make a new TV show.
Oh God, that was bad.
He's been involved in things like Covert Affairs and Suits, which are pretty popular. But And to top it all off, he's actually connected to the space film right now as a director that Tom Cruise wants to get made. So, I mean, look, Doug Liman's made some pretty good movies. I don't know, Tex, as I read you that list of movies, I know you've seen at least a few of them, especially Edge of Tomorrow, which was a really cool sci-fi when they get fighting aliens. What do you think of his work?
I've seen that one. I mean, Mr. and Mrs. Smith with Pitt and Jolie was a fun film. I didn't catch that one at theater, but that was one I saw on DVD after it came out. That one was a lot of fun. I've seen the Bourne movies. I think we've all seen the Bourne movies, at least a couple of them anyways. If you have his filmography pulled up, he did a horror film with Jared Padalecki in like 05 or 06. So or it was like 2004 to 2006. I can't remember the name of it. That was the first time I was ever exposed to this guy's work. I can't remember. It was like a horror, like slasher thriller kind of type of film. But yeah, I've seen a lot of this guy's stuff. He knows what genre he's best in, kind of the action thriller, the Tom Cruise epics, the Brad Pitts, the whatever. And he knows when he's not trying to, throw, PS5 graphics into a fight with real people like he does in this movie. He knows how to do action. And which was very disappointing to see how this film came out because, he has done some good work. I mean, Matt Damon, he's Jason Bourne, man. I mean, that's an awesome franchise. So, yeah, he's done some cool stuff.
But I don't know, Jeremy, what do you think? The work of Doug Liman, I know you've seen probably several of the movies I listed, maybe even a couple of TV shows. What do you think of him as a director?
Yeah, I think the one that really stuck out in my head was Mr. and Mrs. Smith. It is a very fun movie. It's it's like 2005 or something. Brad Pitt and Angelina Jolie, and it's this fun little game of cat and mouse of this married couple, not really married, kind of married, end up married, whatever. Two spies trying to kill each other under the same roof. I mean, it's a fun concept. Doesn't really need much further explain than that. And then when you told me that, and then you said there was I think I tuned out, but something about a remake, and I'm like, well, and something a remake that he did that didn't work out well. You said,
yeah, he did. New Knight Rider TV series back in 2008 that I liked. I thought it was fun, but they turned Kit into a transformer, which I was like, no, you're going off the rails with me on this one. And it lasted about a season and got canceled. Yeah, it wasn't good.
Yeah, so you told me that, and then I was like, oh yeah, Mr. and Mrs. Smith. But didn't that get remade and no one cared? So
they made it into a series, I think, on Amazon. But I never watched
that's what I'm saying. I'm like, I think that's as far as I heard. I was like, no, don't do it.
Yeah.
And then you got this where I'm like, okay, like I said, good attempt, and like it didn't bother me, but like there wasn't really anything that I guess really wowed me up about this movie. So I was kind of like, man, maybe you should stop trying to remake stuff that no one really asked for, or at least do it right. Which, I mean, I don't know if I was ever handed the keys to, the fucking kit, I don't know what I would do, but I wouldn't be doing that. Maybe grow a mullet and ride off on the sunset. I don't know. However that show worked.
I know I've talked to a few people. I don't know if I've ever mentioned it to you, Jeremy. I've actually been trying to write a script here and there. I'm typing on it here and there as I go, just to teach myself script writing. And the script that I've been working on is a new movie, is a Knight Rider movie. Now it's not good.
Nice.
It's not good. I'm just doing it as kind of an intellectual exercise. Maybe if one of these days I'll read it and be like, wait a minute, this is actually better than I thought it was. Maybe I'll try to sell it to somebody. But
it'd be better than my stupid ass making.
It's got to be better than that TV movie they did, that TV show. I mean, just having Hasselhoff pop in the last scene of the movie was not.
Yeah, it's like
to save that.
Yeah,
considering Hollywood's new measuring stick of if you can be a creative type or not is make them gay or a different race. As long as you can do something better than that, you're qualified as a Hollywood writer these days, Frank. So you're probably in the ballpark.
Yeah, make Michael Chick make gay.
Yeah,
Michelle Knight, and she's a lesbian.
Just make Kit a girl voice, and you'll win awards, and you'll be the next.
I wouldn't be against that if it was the right voice.
Yeah. Instead of Michael is Michelle, driving.
Don't make her.
It's easy to do. It's not hard.
Don't make her obnoxious, and then my unfortunate. I mean, I guess really my first exposure to fucking Phoebe Waller-Bridge, that obnoxious fucking robot from the Solo movie, and then you're like, oh yeah, she's integral to the Millennium Falcon. I was like, fucking jump off a bridge. I fucking hate you. Don't ever fucking do that to me, because now in the back of my fucking head, now I got to think about every time that damn ship turns on. It used to be cool, and then now I got to realize that your annoying ass is the one that's navigating them through the galaxy. And I'm like, no, you know what? If you're listening, Kathleen Kennedy, if you can throw a fucking middle finger to the entire extended universe, whatever, I'm throwing it right back at you. I don't accept that as canon.
Yeah,
I fucking blood today. This is not the movie to pick to fucking do that. My God.
I've liked Doug Liman's work. I mean, Swingers, like I said, it's a 90s classic. It brought to the forefront Vince Vaughn, and it was his first big role. It was a fun kind of independent. Like I said, the 90s was great for independent film and for these young filmmakers to get their start, guys like Doug Liman, Kevin Smith, some of these other guys that were just doing really great storytelling. I mean, Swingers is one of those great movies. The Bourne Identity, I unapologetically love the Bourne movies. I think they're what I'd hoped that James Bond would have evolved into. My one knock on James Bond is that the presentation of the Bond character has never changed. That's one of the reasons why I think that the Bourne movies were kind of well liked. They were a much more modern version, much more action-based version of the character. But I also like how they kind of told bits and pieces of his history over the course of all the movies, except for the one with Jeremy Renner, which I still think that was a good movie. Like I said, Jumper, I think, is a relatively unappreciated sci-fi thing. I mean, the idea of this, like, the one with Hayden Christensen and Samuel.
Yeah, was that the one with Anakin Skywalker?
Yeah,
I forget his name.
It's a weird kind of like, is he a mutant? Is he what? Nobody really knows. There's the family drama of his mom. There was Samuel L. Jackson trying to chase him. The ability to just appear in places is kind of wild. I thought it was fun.
It kind of followed the same path as that movie Push, where I'm like, you got, hey, look, a bunch of mutants, and then some like crazy black guy who's like chasing them all over the fucking place. I'm like, I feel like I saw the same movie in the same year. It's the same goddamn thing.
A different good-looking white guy. But
Jedi and Captain America. I mean, like, what do you want?
Yeah. And Edge of Tomorrow was a good movie. I mean, I know they didn't market that movie for shit, but I mean, when it came out, people were going to watch it 2-3 times because it was a wild movie. I mean, it was classic Tom Cruise. American Made is a pretty good movie, much more drama, much more character driven than it was action, but I think it was still good. I haven't seen Chaos Walking. I never got around to it. But his movies, Doug Liman's movies have actually been very good. I am kind of surprised that as long as he's been around, he hasn't done more stuff. He has done a lot more TV than I would have expected. But I mean, the TV stuff, Covert Affairs was a big show. Suits is becoming more popular now that it's off the air. And they're talking about a sequel series. But I think that really Suits is only getting big because they're marketing the hell out of it right now. I don't know why. Yeah. The OC was a really popular show. I never watched it. It wasn't really my cup of tea, but I mean, it was tremendously popular. He did several episodes of that. So, yeah, I mean, he's made some good work. Now, I mean, let's talk about the cast now. I mean, there really is only 2 people in this cast that matter. I'll go to you. I'll go to you first, Jeremy. Who stood out for you, and why was it Conor McGregor?
Because Conor McGregor.
That's the only answer.
Yeah, I mean, come on, like, and that's what I was saying. Like, I kind of maybe understand the artistic style of we're talking about the fight thing. I get that it was maybe supposed to feel in your face and kind of jarring and chaotic, and yeah, that's great. But like, I don't need 17 jump cuts of like, one guy getting thrown over a fucking table. Like, I was kind of like, you have a UFC champion here, like an actual UFC fighter or MMA fighter, whatever the fuck. And you couldn't at least, I was like, man, I kind of wish he would have just actually gone for fight scenes, maybe, because it's not like he doesn't know what he's doing. You could have choreographed something a little better and made it feel, a little more raw. Not that it wasn't like brutal. I mean, like, he almost got damn near crucified there at the fucking end, just stab, right into his neck. I was like, shit. And then he somehow walked out of the hospital still. But I mean, it's because he's Conor McGregor. So, I mean, I'm sorry, but I mean, I'm a sucker for, UFC like that. And honestly, he's a favorite. So it's not really fair to say. I guess I don't, because I always try to pick someone someone else or someone off to the side that's not obvious. But I guess the only thing I can say that wishful thinking is, I mean, we obviously didn't have a Sam Elliott character in this movie. If Patrick Swayze were still alive, would that not have been fucking cool if he at least came in to help him somewhere in this movie? Like if he was the older friend who came to help him?
I feel like if Patrick Swayze were still here, that they probably would have called him and said, "Hey, maybe you're not going to lead this movie, but you could be the Wade Garrett character," which I thought would have been awesome. That's
what I'm saying. I think that would have been really fucking cool to see. It's unfortunate. I mean, you know, we no longer have Patrick Swayze around, and also, like I said before, though, I'm like, I don't think you necessarily needed that character. It still played out well enough, but if that had been the case, that would have been really cool to see.
Tex, how about you? What do you think of the cast? I mean, was there anybody other than maybe the two main leads that did anything for you in this movie?
No, like I said, what made Roadhouse 89 great was the characters. You had these eccentric, over the top. Everybody was cheesy 80s. They knew what kind of film they were in. And this one, the only person who knew what film he was in was Conor McGregor. You could have plucked him out of this movie, put him in the original, and he would have fit perfect. I mean, he was over the top. He had that atmosphere about him. He was the only one that understood the homework. He did it properly. You know, it's just Jake Gyllenhaal's a great actor, but what made Dalton so great in the original was he wasn't a suicidal, you know, ex-UFC guy. He was haunted by something that the woman he was duped into, you know, going with this woman and then defending himself. He had to kill the guy. You know, in this version, he just snapped and he just accidentally killed somebody, but he keeps a dead body in a freezer. It's just so weird how they did Dalton in this movie. I didn't like it, but Conor McGregor. Go ahead.
I was gonna say, I'm like, you know what? That may be the only thing I think that they did go, like Frank said. I'm like, that kind of went bigger. I was like, God damn, he got dark.
Yeah,
he got dark fucking fat. No, I was like, I appreciate that. I was almost like, Tex, I'm surprised. That was almost like slasher movie levels of like, holy shit, he is putting a guy on ice.
Oh no, I'm not against that idea.
If I hit you the right way, you might lose your fucking, you know.
Right, I'm not against the idea of a character doing that. But if you're doing Dalton from Roadhouse, that's not what Dalton is. You know, Dalton's the cooler guy. You're I don't know. I hate how they did Dalton in this film. It makes no sense to me. But like I said, Conor McGregor is the only bright spot of this entire film. I mean, the guy he uses trees to stop his car. He doesn't even hit the brakes. Like he just runs into things.
I think
come on.
I think what he's doing was when he was blaring down the road in his fucking like Lambo. I was like, man, GTA 6 is gonna be wild, isn't it?
He just runs into stuff.
Yeah, he's set in like modern day Florida. It's gonna be this movie. Is what that game's gonna be like. That's what's funny. So
like I said, this movie felt more like a Bad Boys or a Fast and Furious than it did a Roadhouse film. I mean, this was enough Easter eggs and themes from the old one. They just gave it to you for a modern audience, as you know, Critical Drinker would say, or somebody, and it just doesn't work for me. The only thing I like about this is Conor McGregor. I mean, it's like, you know, in that last fight scene where they're fighting and Conor McGregor throws Dalton onto the piano. He goes, "Oh, this piano's out of tune," and then you see Conor McGregor pop up with a big old smile. It sounds good to me. It's like, you know, those scenes right there would fit perfect in the original film. But besides Conor McGregor, I can't. Whatever. You know, I mean, I don't know. I don't like this one. This one sucks.
I think Drinker says that in the fact that it's annoyingly obvious that they're pandering to somebody in this movie, and I'm like, well, I don't think they really did any of that. I didn't really notice anything that was like just obviously in your face about it.
You know, okay, look at Dalton. You know, obviously he's I can't remember the name of the doctor in the original film, but he's obviously into her. he's pursuing her. And this one, they flip it on its head and they kind of cuck him out a little bit because like she goes to like kiss him and he acts like he's like a 16-year-old girl getting her first kiss or something. Like Dalton, like
he puts people on ice. I think he was trying to do her a favor. Like you don't want to be me, man. Like
this is what I'm saying. This movie makes no sense. This is what I'm saying. This movie makes no sense. I don't think they know what they want this to be. I mean, in the original Roadhouse, you had girls dancing in the bar that were hot. This one, you had some uggo in overalls dancing on the bar. Like, what are we watching here? This is a Roadhouse movie. Like, I could spend 2 hours just bitching about this thing. Somebody stop me.
You're looking at the same women I was looking at? What the fuck are you talking about?
This movie sucks. I hate this.
It was some skinny blonde chick. What are you talking
We're in South Florida. Where's all the bikinis at? What's going on?
But they're not in some place like Miami or something like that. There's some kind of like dive area where they don't.
I've been to South Florida. They are everywhere down there. I'm telling this movie. I don't know what they were thinking. This movie sucks. I hate this film.
Well, I think the idea was this place, Glass Key, which doesn't actually exist anywhere in Florida. Right. It's kind of in and of itself. It's not like part of that area where all of Miami happens. It's kind of an out of the way place on its own. Not unlike Jasper.
People that live here, probably.
Not unlike Jasper was in the original movie. Kind of a very much an out of the way place. It's not a tropical area. It's out in the middle of flyover country. But there's only 2 people in this cast that matter. And I like Jake Gyllenhaal's performance in this. I don't think he was bad for this version of Dalton that we were going to get. I have no problem with that at all. Conor McGregor, to me, he is the only thing that makes this movie awesome, like at all, the action-y stuff kind of awesome, because he's Conor McGregor, and we're so used to him beating people's asses anyway.
Yeah, in real life.
There are 2 things that got me as I was done watching this. Number one is
dude built like an action figure in this movie.
The supporting characters here were absolutely unnecessary. They played no part in the movie at all. That was one of the biggest differences between this movie and the original movie was like the supporting characters. Like, I mean, the doctor didn't really play much of a role in this. I mean, she's not bad in it. She just doesn't really have a purpose other than the fact that she's kind of the damsel in distress at the end. And yeah, she's the guy's daughter, but I mean, who cares? That guy wasn't even important at the end.
It wasn't important enough.
The people of the town.
Yeah.
The people that owned all these other businesses. I mean, the guy in the bookstore, you see him in the beginning and then he just pops up at the end. In the original film, all of the other guys that own the businesses, they were integral to the plot, especially when it wrapped up with getting rid of the bad guy. They just kind of tossed that in there for no reason.
Yeah,
even his buddy who was the musician and like all the other bouncers, they had a part. He had like maybe one kid with a black eye, and then some other dude he found in some other building. Like, hey, you want a job, kid? I'm like, okay, it's just you 2. All right, sure.
Yeah. The girl that owns the bar, Frankie. I'm like, I can get behind her character, but she's just not there for the parts of the movie that are important. I didn't get it. They
just there to get the plot going, but
this guy right here is a fantastic actor. What the hell's his name? I'm drawing a blank on his name.
Oh, he just flips on a dime in this movie. He's all over the place.
Well, it's like that doesn't even bother me, but I mean, it's like you got a guy
who's going to be more of a threat.
One of the great Hispanic character actors that has ever been, and he's kind of a throwaway character. It's like there was, it's like the little girl that runs the bookstore.
The Double Deuce. Oh, the glass book. My bad. I'm sorry.
Oh, don't even go there. Don't even.
No, like we're 5 minutes in the movie, and I saw that. I was like, "Oh, fuck you! That's how you're gonna do that." Come on.
But I was like, she's a character that I can get behind and give us some emotional weight, and she's in a couple of scenes where she kind of connects with Dalton, but it's like after that, she's just not in the movie until the very end, and I'm like, you don't have anybody that can help carry this movie away from the obvious stuff, which is the action-y fight stuff, and. There was another character. Look, I like the humor that this guy brought. He
was great.
He wasn't quite as funny as Pena is like the Ant-Man movies. It wasn't like that where he's narrating shit. But I was like, the way his comedic lines hit, like just at the right time, were hilarious. And it's like even when Connor first walks into the bar, they start brawling everywhere, and the guy's getting ready to throw a chair, and he walks by Dalton. He goes, "Oh, hey, Dalton." Dalton's like, "Hey, what's up?" It's like there's like this connection between these two already. I'm like, they like each other, and they're on the opposite ends of this. I thought it was kind of fun, but ultimately, what Oh, also, it's got the JD Pardo, the guy in the middle of the main biker who was in the Mayans, which is almost as good as Sons of Anarchy. Sons of Anarchy is one of my top 5 television shows ever.
I can't. I might have to disagree on that one. I love Sons of Anarchy.
It's one of my top 5 shows ever, and he's plays the main character in the Mayans, which is a spinoff. Which I've watched part of season 1. I haven't had time to sit and binge watch it. I like him a lot. I think he should have been. I honestly, if not Conor McGregor, I think he should have been the guy who should have played the main bad guy. I like him on screen. But I tell you what, something this movie was 100% missing, and it shows badly through this entire film. Not Sam Elliott specifically,
yes,
but that character, that kind of character that brings him back to center somehow. Because this was a very different Dalton. I mean, the Dalton that we got in Patrick Swayze, he was already kind of put together. It's the situation he found himself in that kind of threw his compass off, and he ends up riding at the ship at the end. We're already getting a very broken Dalton in this movie, which I'm fine with them giving him a different backstory and making him a different kind of Dalton. That's fine. But there needed to be somebody there to kind of bring him back to the center, to kind of keep him from losing his shit and to help him keep perspective. And there was nobody in this movie that could possibly play that part. I mean, and even the people that did, I mean, that tried to kind of be that difference, that not aggressive part of his lifestyle, of his life, like the little girl at the bookstore, stuff like that. They just weren't there enough. It's like you start to build one of these relationships, and then here comes Conor McGregor again to tear shit up, and he's got to fight Conor McGregor for 10 more minutes, and then he's got to do his little investigating, trying to figure out what Billy Magnussen's character is doing, and then it's like that even wasn't good like police work. I wasn't really into his trying to dig into that and play little Dalton private investigator and all that. I wasn't even into that. It was like I got to the point where I was like, just give me the next fight scene. That's all I'm watching this movie for.
I noticed that. Yeah, it was like there was one thing at the beginning where he kicked all their asses, and then it was like, okay, you broke dude's fingers.
Yeah, I was like, and
then he fought Conor McGregor for the last like 20 minutes of the movie. I was like, okay,
yeah. Cool. And then to top it off, I gotta be honest. I've said it 100 times. Movies like this are only as good as their villain. Look, I'm not saying that Billy Magnussen's a bad actor, but his villain was fucking awful. It was just awful. I
couldn't believe he was like a sleazy little trust fund kid. I mean, he kind of seemed like one, but I was like, he didn't really have the same threat.
He wasn't even the main bad guy. His old man is going to be the main bad guy. Like,
I was
this is like, what's going on?
You know? Yeah, I totally believe that. The problem was, and again, if you compare this to the original film, like I said the other day, you have 2 bad guys that come at Dalton from different levels. You had the intellectual, very smart Ben Gazzari's character, and then you had the other character of Jimmy, who was lethal, and he matched up well with Conor, but I was like, there was no intellectual stimulation for Dalton at all, and this guy was just a dumbass. I mean, trust fund babies make bad villains usually. They're just not good. And even the look on his face right there, I'm like, it's not his performance necessarily. It's just a badly conceived character. He is not the kind of villain that Dalton needed. I mean, so you end up getting to the point where all you have is this, and the whole reason why first off, I laughed my ass off at this scene. I was like, he just walked around naked.
I mean, somebody's seen Terminator a few fucking times where he just comes in naked and he's like, hey, I need your clothes. Like, come on. That was a Terminator-esque thing to do.
But what got me is like he was basically the same bad guy that Jason Momoa was in Fast 6. Outlandish, over the top, way more than was needed, but you needed something to kind of save this movie. And he was the only thing that really saves it. Like I said, Jake Gyllenhaal, not bad. I like what they were trying to do with his Dalton character. But if you needed Conor McGregor and the bad guy that he played in this to make this movie watchable.
That's why I picked that line. Been a while since I've gone clubbing, and he's still just like, who the hell is this guy? Where'd he come from? I'm like, right, who cares? He's just here now.
I will say this. Watching this, I'm like, okay, because the WWE and UFC are now one company, TKO. We need to get Conor McGregor in the WWE immediately. Could you imagine the over-the-top, cheesy, crap character heel he could be in wrestling? Like, we already know he can do the physical stuff. Like, he could be the next Hulk Hogan here. He can have a whole nother career that he didn't even realize. we need to get him over there immediately if his UFC days are over, because I don't think he's had a fight for at least a year that I can think of. But,
I don't think he's had a fight since he broke his leg in that one fight.
I was gonna say, I think it's
right. That's what I'm saying. It's been a long time. So hey, move him over to the pro wrestling side. He could be the next great bad guy for the next generation of whatever. That would be tremendous.
They actually throw punches in UFC, so kind of feels like a step down.
This is what I'm saying. I mean, if he doesn't want to do that, he can go to the other side and fake
and that's what makes it entertaining. UFC, they're actually fighting, and that's why that's entertaining.
Right. This is what I'm saying. He could be a great character actor like that. Like, he was tremendous. He's great for that role.
He wouldn't be a good guy for sure.
Right, that's what I'm saying. He could be the greatest bad guy ever.
The thing about Conor, though, I don't think he wants to pretend to fight. I think he wants.
That's what I'm saying. I don't think he. Yeah.
Probably not. No.
Did you watch this fight with Mayweather?
Yeah. Yeah.
Right at the end, as they were calling the fight, McGregor goes out there for the next round, and he's like, "Let the man knock me out." And the refs were like, "No, we're going to stop this fight now. It's over." He goes, "No, let the man knock me out. This guy's fucking earned it." I'm like, that right there, that's a motherfucking badass. The guy who wants to go out there and finish this fight on the fucking ground, he said, "Let the man knock me out."
Yeah.
I was like, "Damn, bro, you are a fucking brawler. you are a badass." I thought that was fantastic. I wanted to see him beat Mayweather's brains out, but I mean, whatever.
Still.
But let's move on to the plot now. Again, kind of basic, kind of the same. Not too much different from the original. Really, they just changed the location, the name of the bar. I mean, would you have changed text? Would you have changed the plot more to make it a bit more unique, or were you fine just trying to make it with the same basic plot as the original?
I don't think no matter what you did, it was going to be good because, I mean, like I said, last week when we, reviewed the original, Roadhouse it's a treasure that belongs to the 80s. I mean, it's one of those things, plot-wise, that there was just enough plot in the original to get you from scene to scene, and it was delivered by such good characters and visionaries that it works. This has none of the heart. It has none of the talent behind it, or behind the camera, or in front of it. I don't do whatever you want with the plot of this. They just rehash. Oh, the Roadhouse. It's a Roadhouse, so we call it Roadhouse. And there's the Double Deuce Diner, just like Jeremy said. I wanted to kick puppies whenever I saw that. That was ridiculous. They need to burn this script and that they never wrote it.
That was almost my
that
was almost my quote. Like, what is a Roadhouse? Why is it called that? Like, I don't know.
Right. Well, this is the thing. Plot wise, they need to burn this and just forget that they ever did it. That's how you fix this plot. Because if you had called, like you started this, Jake Gyllenhaal plays a bouncer in Florida. Great. I'll probably watch that and enjoy it. But when you're doing Roadhouse, it's certain expectations are required. Just like when we reviewed the last Exorcist film, there's a bar that's set when you hit certain things. And this plot was it was all over the place. It didn't land. It doesn't work. And it just throw it out. Why do we need this movie? This is not needed.
Well, no movie is needed, but I mean, hell, the last probably 4 or 5 Fast and Furious movies haven't been needed, but they've made $1 bajillion. So I mean,
right, but those are good enough to make money. Amazon was smart enough to look at this piece of crap and say, "Hey, this doesn't need to go to theaters. We're going to put this on streaming so it can get forgotten about by next week." They were at least smart enough to do that.
That actually wasn't as it was reported. I'll talk about that a little bit in the trivia, but that it did not exactly go down just like that. But I mean, still, I don't understand why.
Right.
You can get Jake Gyllenhaal and Conor McGregor in a movie and not release it theatrically. That to me doesn't make much sense. Yeah. But I want to talk about a few missed opportunities here, and let me get your guys' thoughts on this. Number one, I like the music of Roadhouse of this movie. I really did. I like the southern bluesy stuff you get in Dive.
Still had the bluesy.
It's really great to drink to go sit in one of these places and drink and listen.
Oh yeah.
However, would it have killed them to at least not done the cover of one Jeff Healey song in this movie? I mean,
I did catch someone up who was like, "Come on, man, play some Stones." I'm like, yeah, because he did the cover of that's pretty funny. We did get a cover of another
once
song.
again,
they didn't even play like Roadhouse Blues by the Doors. I mean, because one of the great things moments about the first movie is when he first walks in the Double Deuce and Jeff Healey's playing Roadhouse Blues by the Doors, his version of it. I'm like, that's great, and I really like the music and what the bands were playing there. I mean, it's great bar music. But I was like, you couldn't have just as an Easter egg, you couldn't have had somebody play their version of Angel Eyes, which is one of the best songs that ever came out in the 80s.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like it didn't have to be spot on. Just a little clip, throw it back to Jeff Healey, who was very, like, as a musician, was very loved in his own right. And was also one of the standouts in the original film. It's like you couldn't have done that. That kind of bothered me. I don't know. Tex, am I wrong? Do you think that a little bit of a Jeff Healey throwback would have been bad?
Well, okay, this is what I'm sitting there thinking. Okay, this bar is so dangerous, but you have no issue getting like just about any musical group you want in this place. Like you would like the band in the original Roadhouse look like they can handle their own. I mean, Jeff Healey, even for a blind dude, gets to throw a few punches in that movie. You believe he can take care of himself. The music, and I understand it's South Florida. It doesn't even really have a South Florida vibe. It's like all over the place. It's the music is a character in the original film. Like I said, that bluesy rock country Stevie Ray Vaughan kind of vibe is a character in that movie. This has no personality. This is generic. Throw a little bit in here just to do whatever. The music sucks in this movie. They should have had something Jeff Healey in here. Anything would have made it better than what they did. This is awful.
Yeah, it just a missed opportunity. Just a little bit of a throwback to the original would have been nice.
Oh yeah.
But the other thing, that got me, and look, it takes a lot to kind of like take me out of a movie even for a second. And I'm kind of glad that Tex has that line in his headline, "The Piano's Out of Tune." I fucking hated that line.
Really?
The worst.
Oh, made me laugh. I loved it.
Worst.
I loved it.
The worst possible moment for that. Here's what I think, and I hope I'm not. I'll say it like this: a good fight scene in a movie is like good sex. No, all the talking you need to do to accentuate the moment, nothing else. Let the fight speak. Because the fight scenes were not a problem in this movie. They were by far the best part of this entire film. Why you drop that line right there? Goofy fucking needless line of dialogue right there. I'm like, are you kidding? It's like, I already know that Conor's been a big joker throughout this entire movie. And for what he needed to be, I think he was very much like Swayze in this respect, is that Jake Gyllenhaal's got a little bit of this aw shucks kind of thing, and he drops a couple of funny lines here and there, some kind of ironic humor stuff, just like Swayze did. I thought that worked out well. But it's like right then, I mean, this is the final fight. This is the main bad guy. This is what you've been building up for almost 2 hours, and you gotta take me out of it even for just a moment. Where he's like, "Piano is out of tune." I'm like, really? Just fight, bitch. It's like, you want to punch Conor McGregor.
I'll say this. That line, the reason why it's funny is because every other line, or everything else that's happened in this movie is a buildup of mediocrity, garbage, and they just, to me, that line is the cherry on top of the sundae to give you just a minor little laugh, because this entire thing has been just a train wreck. Like I hate it. I hate everything about this movie besides Conor McGregor. And just the way that he says, "Sounds good to me," and then smiles with that, Joker grin on his face. It's not like a belly laugh. It's just oh, that's funny. Okay, that's fine. You notice it for a minute.
Yeah, I absolutely hated that line. It was just such garbage. It was just so bad. But honestly, I didn't mind. I'll talk about the CGI of the fight scenes real quick. One of the things they did was, well, like I said, they tried to do something different. And one of these days, if they perfect this kind of filming, this kind of graphics work, it could be good. But as I was reading it, what they did was they would film the fight scenes with the actors pulling punches and stuff, and they would try to seamlessly work in some stunt guys who, I guess, had not actually gotten punched, but I mean, had made it look real. And they tried to like seamlessly cut that in for a couple of frames so that you would see the punch actually connect. And I'm never going to shit on somebody for trying to make something better. It won't always work, but as long as your reasonings for doing so are just and you're trying to make a better product, I will say things like it didn't work as well as I wanted it to, but once we get this stuff figured out, the CGI and get it all just right, it's going to work out well. Like I said earlier, the de-aging stuff they did for like Princess Leia and Rogue One, and stuff they did in some of the Marvel movies. The first couple were kind of rough, but now they're kind of getting it. So it looks a lot better as you start to kind of hone this technology. This technology is going to need some work. It was kind of rough in this movie, I'm not going to lie, and it did look like something out of the late '90s as computers were first starting to become big in action filmmaking, especially, or the early 2000s, as they were trying to get the programming right. I don't mind if they did it. It didn't look great, but I mean, it wasn't the one thing that brought the movie down. You know what I mean? I mean, there was 10 or 12 other things that I kind of cringed at before I even noticed anything happening in the fight scenes like this. I don't know, Jeremy, do you think that there is some kind of hope for this kind of CGI in the future, or should we just get the hint that it's not working and kind of leave the show alone?
It's not like there isn't a way to have actors and stunt guys in and out of your shots, in and out of your movie. We've been doing that shit since forever, since movies been made. So I'm not going to shit on someone for trying to do something like that, but I don't know. It did seem the only reason why I'd be kind of glad there wasn't more fight scenes in the movie is because I'm like, Jesus Christ, this is a little bit nauseating. I don't know if it's really worth the end product of it looking. I mean, when I was talking about what I said about the camera work is there were a lot of like these shots where it's like it's on a swivel and they're going like every once like someone talking or going across the bar, looking here. I'm like, right, but then when you're doing that in the middle of a fucking fight scene, I'm like, okay, chill. Hold on. Like the only one that I thought was kind of cool was it was like the end fight where it was like a POV shot from Dalton's perspective and like Conor McGregor's just right in the camera, just like punching the crap out of him. Like, no, that was kind of fun. That was cool. It was right up in your face and you felt the moment. But
did it kind of feel like a 3D movie to you at times, especially in that fight scene?
That would have been kind of wild. Yeah.
That's kind of what it looked like. It's like it was 3D without the glasses. It's kind of what I don't know. It looked like it.
I'm saying that wasn't nearly as bad as some of the moments, but I don't know. I was kind of more just along the lines of like, I don't know, just have your guys actually. And I'm not saying they didn't put in work. Like I said, Jake Gyllenhaal got absolutely shredded for this movie, and that's no small feat. That was insane. Conor McGregor's Conor McGregor, so. I don't know. I don't know if there's some reason why they couldn't have done, you can do some intense fight scenes like you did from the original and just have, them, you get a choreographed out fight and you could have just, you're like, are you going to fall here? You're going to fall over this table. You're going to break this glass. You're going to do this. And you can reset that stuff. You got plenty of props on set. You got stuff that you can break. But I don't know if it felt like maybe it was just too much, trying to do too much, and it just didn't seem, it just wasn't seamless. It could get there. I don't know. There's just better ways to do it.
Yeah, I think so too. But I mean, again, maybe after they get this technology right, we'll look back on it and be like, okay, yeah, that was the baby steps of this technology, and now it's working out great. But I mean, like,
we all laugh at the Scorpion King now, but we're like, oh man, did you see that Endgame though? I'm like, yeah, I know.
Okay, well, I think the worst part of the fight scenes, like. To me, what stood out the most was in that final fight with Conor McGregor and Dalton, when like it starts off with Conor McGregor, he's going to punch, right? And when you see he hits, the camera like goes over the top, but it's spinning. So by the time it gets to Dalton's point of view, you're seeing the hit land. So I get what Jeremy's talking about, where it's kind of nauseating to watch. Because it's like you're going on a roller coaster that's taking you sideways and upside down at the same time. It's jarring to watch. And then, like a few frames before that, Dalton throws a punch at him, and then he gets on his back and he's got him in a chokehold. And Conor's like going down. He falls on his back, and it's where they land on that table and then they roll. They do like that up close camera, and just the way that it looks very off. It doesn't look, and I don't even think it's the technology it's the problem. It's the choreography in that, to me, is just so off-putting.
That might be what it is.
It's just, yeah, it's weird. Like I said, I can't pinpoint what's wrong with it, but I know something's wrong, and it takes me out of it.
I can appreciate a good fight movie. That's what I'm saying. I'm just like, but I'm not like,
right, yeah.
I'm not wrapped up in like the intensity of that fight, because every once in a while I'm like, God, where did that person go? Hey, come back. Where are you going? Like, I don't know. Like, I'm thinking of like you go back to like what, 2007, 2008, the movie Never Back Down. Again, fight movie, but I'm like, it's intense. You got.
Oh, I haven't seen that in forever.
It's got Amber Heard, so just take that for what it is. That is way pre Johnny Depp. I know we're looking in hindsight. Okay. It's still a good movie. She's fine being the character she is.
Don't talk about Hines and Amber Heard. It gives me flashbacks of bad memories of talking about some horrible things.
She did kind of shit on the main character a little bit, just not in his bed. So
I understood that reference.
Yeah, I know. Did all the cool kids catch that reference? That only happened like 2 years ago. Anyway, it's a good movie. It's a good fight movie, and I'm like, you can get wrapped up in the intensity and the stakes of like the fight, and there is like one. I mean, it's maybe because it looks slow motion, but like the final. I mean, it's a fight movie.
Whoa.
You know what's going to happen. The big hero kick. It's almost like some Karate Kid shit. This slow motion, like when he roundhouses the kid right across the face. It looks a little off because I'm like, it's slow motion and it may have been CG'd, but it's really him, and it's like he's taking a hit right across the mouth, and I'm like, but every fight scene,
I think
is intense.
I think the fight choreography and technology in this movie would work perfect in a Batman film of a Arkham variety. Jeremy, you know what I'm talking about. A lot of the fight scenes that I've noticed in this is like when you're Batman and like is when you're like when you're playing as Batman in like Arkham Asylum or Arkham City, and there's like 15 bad guys all in a circle, and you're just hitting and jumping and boom bang, and you're just all over the place. If you put this in a superhero movie, it was Spider-Man. It could probably look incredible, but we've got two guys in a bar that are UFC fighters. They're not going to be doing that. Show me a real fight between these two. I mean, hell, do some John Wick style stuff, whatever. That's cool, but not what they did here. It just, to me, just on the garbage pile of things that this movie did wrong. This is just glaring, and it's bad. I don't like it.
I'm not trying to shoot myself in the foot too much, because I'm like, I understand where it's going, but like. Because like he said, being with Arkham, it's like being the video game person. I'm like, graphics don't make a game. Trust me, it's
right.
So I'm not saying that. I'm not saying like, oh, it has to look like some Square Enix like Final Fantasy pristine stuff. Because, to be fair, though, that's not really fair. Those games are crisp. But I'm just saying, I've played the original Final Fantasy. You're talking about pixels on a screen, turn-based combat. I mean, like, and it doesn't take away from it. The story's still there. Everything else, the gameplay still works. So I'm not saying graphics, it's not like it hinges on that, just like it does with video games. It doesn't have to be that way. If it looks great, awesome. But we're all sitting there looking at, blobs of like, here's a PNG picture of like Lara Croft on a triangle like body. And we're like, okay, that's her. You thought it looked so real.
Like if in like Deadpool 3, if they use technology like this for a fight scene with Deadpool and Wolverine, where like Deadpool grabs Wolverine and throws him into a bunch of guys, and he's bouncing around, and they're doing the flip-flop camera thing, that will probably work and look really good. But for this movie, it was unnecessary, and I don't want to say they jumped the shark, because like Frank, you said, they're probably testing out some stuff and just figuring it out, which is fine. I mean, you get to break a few eggs to make an omelet, right? So this just didn't quite cut the mustard. So, whatever.
Yeah, but let's move on to some trivia now, because I've got a few things that are actually pretty interesting. There was a lot made about this movie not being released in theaters and going straight to streaming. Doug Liman had a lot to say about it, but the reality is is that early on, Amazon gave Jake Gyllenhaal and the filmmakers a choice between a $60 million production budget and a theatrical release, or an $85 million budget and to have the film go straight to streaming. The filmmakers decided on the latter. So, I mean, while I feel like you could have made the same movie for $60 million, so I mean, part of me wants to be like, hey, Doug Liman, you should take it.
This is how much that went to Conor McGregor, because he's probably expensive.
Right, he's probably not
terribly
good in his first acting role, so he's probably not going to command that much on screen. But
was the UFC not involved with part of like the funding for this? Because I'm like, you wouldn't have just had that in here and not have them be at least a part of this movie. I figured that was part of the.
The UFC may have made money because they used their brand and obviously one of their events.
You flat out saw you saw the octagon, you saw the UFC logo, you had the whole build up. I mean, like, I was like, oh wait, I didn't realize how obvious, because I'm so used to watching UFC. I didn't realize. I'm like, oh, that's an obvious product placement. Holy shit. They had probably had a big, put their foot in this movie. So whatever. I mean, get your money there. And again, you got Conor McGregor coming in. So you already got, it's twofold. So I don't know.
But I thought that was interesting, especially after all the news that came out about Doug Liman being pissed that he didn't go to theaters.
I don't think this would have done very well theatrically. Like,
I would love to know how well that. Yeah, I would have loved to see that.
It would have. It wouldn't have made $1 billion. It would have at least made money. It actually got a limited theatrical release. I think it released in like a weekend, so it made some money. But it could have made back its $85 million production budget in a weekend. Not this movie. If they would release it in theaters, kept it away from bigger movies that were coming out, give it a couple weeks to kind of do its thing, it would have at least made back its production budget and probably broke even at least. But this is one of my problems with streamers. They always say we're going to up our monthly subscription fees because money, blah blah blah. And then places like Netflix will go and make Red Notice, that's got two of the most bankable stars in Hollywood right now, not put it out in theaters to make any money, and then be like, oh, well, we're losing money because password sharing. I'm like, no, you're losing money because you're spending $160 million in a movie that you're not going to make a fucking dime out of. At least put this bitch out in theaters and let it see if it's got any legs. Because let's face it, as much as we bitch about this movie, it was a fun watch. I can't say I would go back and watch it twice, but I mean, Jake Gyllenhaal's a big draw. Conor McGregor's a big enough draw. I mean, it's a fight movie. It's just as mindless as any Fast and Furious movie. Those kinds of people that are flocking in droves to go see Fast 27 or whatever the hell we're on now are probably going to go see this movie at least once. Yeah, they're probably going to go see this movie at least once. They could have at least broke even.
Yeah.
If this had went theatrical, I think this is one of those that probably would have made most of its money in the first weekend it came out, because once people saw it and word of mouth got out, it probably wouldn't have done much after that.
But your curiosity would have been like, oh, what's this about?
Yeah.
Making $20 is better than making no dollars.
I guess, but
no. I'm not saying that it's not, but like look at what's that movie? The Fall Guy. That's been in theaters 2 weeks and it's already being released on VOD. That's not a good sign. That's because it's not making money in the theaters. And from what I've heard, it's a pretty good movie. It's like I haven't seen it, but
I have not heard it.
I've heard a lot of people say they liked it. I don't know. Like, I'm kind of curious to watch it now. But you take that chance.
Come out, so they quit fucking playing it every other fucking ad. I'm getting tired of hearing it.
Oh, I have no words. I have no words. I do not care whatsoever.
The last one I saw was Road Warrior. I think I watched Thunderdome once, and I was just like, okay, this was a fun time.
Whenever I went to go see The Strangers Chapter 1, they had Furiosa crap all over the theater. Posters, the cardboard standings.
He still just look like Thor. Could you not have given him a balloon?
Right. Yeah,
Chris Hemsworth. Why does Keanu in the last Matrix movie look just like John Wick? Because that's a bigger selling point for the Matrix movie.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, right, but don't give him a beard and then dreads and have him be goofy and stupid. I mean, I know that's part of the Mad Max. It's a little goofy shit, but don't give him a red cape and he's basically apocalyptic Thor. Like, come on. If I swear to God, if he comes under with a fucking hammer, I'm going to leave. Like, no.
Obviously, we know that the 100-pound girl with one arm beats Thor by the end of the movie, because Thor's not in the other
like,
ones.
you're really going to
Just
tell
saying,
me
sorry.
Boy who weighs 90 fucking pounds.
Right.
Okay. I'm not going to say I wasn't Team Shuri all the way, but I'm like, but girl, you're like 20 pounds. I don't believe that you're Black Panther.
I'm saying. With one arm. Like, she didn't even have both. She has one, and somehow she will beat Thor. It's ridiculous. But this, like I said, this movie
as like the beginning of the Mad Max saga. I'm like, no, I'm pretty sure there was this guy named Mac Rockatansky who
Mad Max,
right?
But
like,
with Roadhouse,
she started this whole fucking thing.
Weekend one, it probably would have done gangbusters with, like Jeremy said, curiosity. Oh, I love Roadhouse. I grew up on that movie, like every other guy of anywhere near our age brackets loves Roadhouse. It's one of those movies that it's on the checklist of, on your way to manhood. If you don't encounter Roadhouse and Sam Elliott and Patrick Swayze, you haven't completed your mission. But it's just after the first weekend, I don't think this movie would have fared very well, and we would have forgotten about it.
I think it would have at least recouped some of the money. That's why I'm all about releasing everything theatrically. I mean, even if it
I agree. I'm all for making money.
Making $30 million against an $85 million production budget is better than making no dollars against an $85 million production budget.
Yeah,
that's just my way of seeing it. But we already talked about the one little reference to the original movie. The restaurant next to Stephen's bookstore was named the Devil Deuce Restaurant, also the name of the bar in the original.
I could have at least said something more than just showing it to me. I'm like, okay, haha. But I don't know. That better be a damn good key lime pie right there. That famous key lime pie better be fucking exquisite.
The one Easter egg that I did want, because, I mean, obviously JCPenney's is not around anymore. Well, I think they're in malls or something now. Like, they should have, had Dalton driving by a JCPenney or something at some point, just as a little nod
like
to
a
the
Sears card, didn't he? I was like, wow, they're doing well, aren't they?
Right, like,
maybe I was like, I mean, gone.
Right, like something like that. Have the trust fund kid, have him, I don't know, do something where he's part of JCPenney. I don't know, do something with it. But that's like the one Easter egg that I didn't get that I wanted, but it's whatever. So it's fine.
One of the funnier pieces of trivia I found is that the film was actually shot predominantly in the Dominican Republic, with the only shots actually in the Florida Keys being that of Fred the Tree. Fred is an Australian pine, which is not local to the area and likely brought via bird droppings. It took root on an old abandoned bridge where it lacks soil and is exposed to sun, salt water, and winds. Locals view it as a symbol of surviving and growth against adversity. After Hurricane Irma passed through the area in 2017, locals were very surprised to find this tree still there and alive. Locals even decorate the tree for the holidays.
That's cool.
I did not realize it's like, because I heard the little girl talk about this for the whole movie, and then like that shot at the very end, I was like, holy shit, that's the real tree. I thought that was an interesting piece of local trivia.
Yeah,
I've been to South Florida. I didn't drive on that bridge to see that tree, but I love that area, man. It's so cool too. It's a different vibe over there. Like, if I would ever move from Texas, Florida would probably be where I ended up, because I like that part of the world, so I dig it.
I don't have a better picture of Dalton for this, so I guess I'll just go back to this one since that's the one I got. Let's see. Director Doug Liman was actually drawn to the character of Dalton for being a gentle, caring person who was simultaneously lethal. This complexity made the role appealing in the reimagining of this cult classic. There is this weird dichotomy of the character.
He kind of just like punched a dude in the throat and let him drown. I was like, wow, that was okay. That just happened. Holy shit. I mean, he does at least say like, yeah, I'm kind of worried. What happens when somebody pushes me way too fucking far? I was like, whew.
That was so over dramatic, though. I wasn't really. I was like,
okay, this is getting dark, and it got dark really fast. Damn.
Yeah, I wasn't really a fan of that line either. I was like, it was so soap opera-y, the delivery of that line. I was like,
yeah, but we kind of see it. We're like, oh yeah, he killed somebody in the ring, and also he just, casually with, I think the thing that kind of jarred me a little bit was like, okay, the body's dead. Why'd you shoot him? What was the point of that? Oh, I'm going to throw him off. I'm like, No, go back.
Yeah, like
You just like hard gave me whiplash and just shot this dead body you had on ice and in front of this fucking cop, and I was like, but why?
we live in 2024. Just because that cop let him go doesn't mean every other one will. And it's not like his DNA is all over that place.
All over the
like
gun,
really, like this is what I'm saying. Like,
oh, they're gonna know those bullets didn't kill him. He's like, yeah, maybe. I'm like, what?
Right, like you've been bleeding all over South Florida like a stuck pig, and you really don't think they're not going to find you dead. I mean,
yeah, back in 1989, there was no DNA. Now they have your DNA all over that ball.
Right, this is what I'm saying.
Everywhere.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, fingerprints, DNA. I mean, spit, saliva. God knows what he's left in that bar. And it's come on now. It's a bit ridiculous. But
well, I was trying to follow.
It matches his.
Not really sure where he's going.
Right.
Yeah. Did you know they've actually remade 5 films that Patrick Swayze is in? I did not realize this until just now.
Oh.
In 2010, there was a Japanese remake of Ghost called Usoto, which I guess means
okay.
Ghost
Well, if it's in some other part of the fucking world, okay, sure.
He's gonna say
he's gonna tell me the next one some Bollywood remake of fucking The Outsiders. Like,
no. The other one was Red Dawn in 2012. A fun movie in and of itself. It's not as good as
no, it wasn't even fun. No.
Dirty Dancing.
That one
in 2017.
Oh,
Dirty Dancing, believe it or not, is well. They came out with like a sequel remake thing, but they're actually making a Dirty Dancing sequel still, apparently.
Yeah.
And Point Break, which came out in 2015.
Oh yeah.
I didn't know they did another Point Break. I didn't realize they did another.
They did. It kind of came and went.
You wouldn't be the first person that says they didn't even know they came out with a Point Break remake.
I just remembered. I'm like, oh yeah, because it kind of came and went.
I mean, over my radar, apparently.
It was kind of like this one. A lot of people were like, wait a minute. You had Keanu and Patrick Swayze doing very awesome things back in 91 or something like that.
90 or 91, yeah.
But, that remake did not hold a candle at all. And a lot of people were like, nope, not down for it. So it kind of came and went almost as quickly as this movie is coming and going. Red Dawn wasn't bad. The original is so much better. So much better. That I want to do the original, and that's one of my favorite scenes in all the movie. With
you know what,
it's like,
I'll do both. I'll do both again or something, like, because that one I will absolutely shit on. I was kind of excited. That was the first time I ever saw Chris Hemsworth. Saw the big cardboard cutout in the movie theater, and I'm like, who's this happy fucker who's trying to be Patrick Swayze? I'm like, he'll never be anything big. This is before Avengers, so I was like, I don't know who this guy thinks he is trying to be Patrick Swayze, and I'm like, oh, he's Thor. Okay.
Yeah. Well, he's gonna be.
I think the first time I saw him was in Chris Hemsworth played the jock role in Cabin in the Woods, which he was actually. That's actually a really good movie. If you haven't seen Cabin in the Woods, by the way, it's a lot of fun to watch. But I think it's the first time I saw him.
The first time I remember
Thor, and then whatever.
The first time I remember seeing him is he plays Kirk's dad in the first J.J. Abrams Star Trek film. Before he got,
I don't remember. I saw that movie, but
he's only in the first 5 minutes. The initial scene where the ship gets destroyed, the captain gets killed. Okay. He's the executive officer, so he's the one that decides to fly the ship into the bad guy ship to give everybody else a chance to get out. And as this is all happening, Kirk's mother is being evacuated, and she's giving birth to Kirk while they're being evacuated. And it's a very way before he put on all the Thor muscles and was like, way before he got ripped. He's actually really kind of scrawny. But that's the first thing I remember seeing him in was he played Captain Kirk's father in the first J.J. Star Trek movie.
Thor.
And they actually were thinking of one of the things they were thinking of for the next Star Trek movie was they wanted to do some kind of time travel thing because for some reason you can't have Star Trek without time traveling somewhere. That they were going to have some time travel thing to where he was going to meet with Chris Pine's version of Kirk, and that there was going to be some father-son thing happening. But a lot of people, but supposedly Pine wanted a lot of money and everybody else wanted a lot of money, and they were just like, well, the Star Trek movies aren't making a lot of money, so we're not going to give you guys $25 million for this shit, especially now that Thor has made Chris Hemsworth extremely popular. He's going to want more money, and it's like, and to top it all off, he's not scrawny executive officer Kirk from the first movie anymore. Now he's like super swole, no neck, no penis, fucking Thor, and like you can't slim him down again like that because he's just like he's like all ripped now. So how do you put him in there and not have him have the long hair and the beard and be Thor? You can't give him a clean haircut and shave him, and then have his like ripped ass body in one of those tight fucking tan shirts. He's like, I'm Captain Kirk, bitches. It's like, no, it's not gonna work.
It can be wibbly wobbly time travel bullshit where all of a sudden, he tripped on a rock on the wrong planet and now he's buff.
Like I said, your one line of dialogue.
Isn't Star Trek kind of dead though? I mean, isn't that like
it's much better? It's much better done as an episodic thing.
I think that kind of woke Star Wars or Star Trek to death to the point where nobody cares anymore.
No, it just wasn't good. I liked it. The first J.J. Abrams movie I thought was good. I actually liked the Star Trek movies as a whole, but the problem is it's a story that's better told in episodic form and not movies right now. They haven't been able to really make great movies. I like Benedict Cumberbatch playing Khan. I thought was fantastic. I thought he was a great Khan. I really like all those movies, but Star Trek lends itself to episodic filmmaking because the TV stuff they have going on right now, Picard was really good. The third season was really good. Second season, not so much. Except with Q was great. And the first season I thought was really good.
Hey.
But I mean, Below Deck, some of the stuff they're doing episodically right now is killing it. People love that stuff. But the movies have just not been doing well because it lends itself to episodic storytelling more so than I think it does movies right now.
I'm not a Trekkie.
Too much. I'm like, as I'm saying, I watch Fanboys too much. I'm like, I'll drive all year for the chance to pimp slap a Trekkie. All right.
I'm not gonna lie. I've said it before. As much as I love Star Wars, I've always been a bigger Star Trek fan. That's always been my favorite of the two. Now, Star Wars obviously far superior in so many ways, but my personal favorite, at the personal level, has always been Star Trek.
I'm not crazy about either, but if I had to pick a side in that Civil War, I'm picking up a lightsaber.
Right, exactly.
They're just different. They're different ways of approaching what the future could potentially be, or is Star Wars far away? The past, long time ago in a galaxy far away. I don't know if it's future or not, but whatever. I don't know. All I know is I like them both. I like them both equally. They're both fantastic. But Jake Gyllenhaal did undergo some pretty intensive training. Why he did. One picture of Jake Gyllenhaal. He actually underwent extensive training with renowned trainer Jason Walsh to prepare for his role as an ex-UFC fighter. The preparation involved a multi-level regimen focused on strength, conditioning, and nutrition, highlighting Gyllenhaal's dedication to the role. I heard he had actually started working physically preparing for this role something like 8 or 10 months prior to filming. Because he wanted to be totally ripped and totally cut. He wanted to look like somebody who could be an ass kicker. And let's face it, he already wasn't in the worst shape. I mean, he's already kind of a slender guy, not like super muscular, but it's like I wouldn't want to get into a fight with him because he'd probably kick my old ass. But I mean, to get him more cut like he is at some points in this movie, I thought was pretty wild.
Yeah.
So, no, he looked the part. I mean, I've seen a lot of people take clips or shots of him shirtless from this and put him in a bat suit and put him in a bat cave and here's your new Batman. A lot of people do that with this version of Gyllenhaal, which is believable because he looks like a super. I mean, him and Conor McGregor look like action figures in this movie, which is part of one of the few over the top good things that they do in this movie. But it's he definitely pulled off the physical part. I mean, kudos to him on that.
They do this thing. I noticed that I didn't think they did it in this movie, but they do this thing. It's a camera trick when you're making movies called downlighting. Have you guys ever heard of this? It's like if you want to accentuate someone's abs, you don't light them from the front, you light them from the top, so that the abs will give off a bigger shadow, and it makes the abs look bigger. That's one of the camera thing. It's one of the movie tricks they do. It's called downlighting. And I was watching this and I'm like, they are not downlighting Jake Gyllenhaal. Like he is really that ripped. Look, some guys can do it. Yeah. I mean, it's like because I know Sylvester Stallone when the Rocky Balboa movie that he made, the last one that he fights in, like he had taken some shit because he admitted to doing HGH. And a lot of people were like, well, isn't that cheating? He goes, dude, I'm 70-something years old. He's like, I can't just go work out for a couple of months to get ripped again. Mm-hmm. He's like, I needed help to get that ripped. He's like, so yeah, I some guys, if they're still young, like The Rock, look, he stays in the shape that he's in because he spends 8 hours a day fucking.
Yeah,
right.
How that guy, I don't know that guy must sleep 2 hours a day, film 8 hours a day, and work out 10 hours. What the fuck that guy's doing?
That guy's muscle. I'm not saying The Rock doesn't work out, but you don't get veins like that unless you get your muscles from the tip of a needle. That's all I'm saying. Like you can tell
Look, some guys are just physically they're put together that way. My problem is once he hits like 60, and let's face it, he's not getting any younger. Once he hits like 60 and he can't, because the joints can only take so much. So it's like once he hits 60 and he's got to start cutting it down a little bit, is he going to start to lose a lot of that weight? Because I mean, even Arnold, I mean, it's ripped.
Arnold's a good example. Yeah.
I mean, you get to the point where it's like you just can't hit the weights the way you used to. And I'm sure Arnold stays active and does some stuff. But I mean, for as strong as he was,
when he's like 20,
for as strong as he was in the bodybuilding days and like the Terminator days and all that, it's like if you see him now walking around with just a t-shirt on, his arms look flabby, and he's still got some muscle, but he is not as cut as he used to be in his bodybuilding days. But
you can't do that shit forever.
Yeah, I mean, Jake Gyllenhaal's still young. He can hit the gym and still look good, but once he hits 60, boy, it's really fucking hard. And I'd imagine these guys are going to be acting a while. But let's see. The centerpiece of the production was the main Roadhouse set, designed by production designer Greg Berry and then built from scratch from the ground up for the movie. Perhaps the greatest testament to the quality of its construction was the fact that the Roadhouse set, including its thatched roof, withstood the force of Hurricane Fiona, which blew through the Dominican Republic filming location during filming in September of 2022.
Oh shit!
Because usually they don't make movie sets to last necessarily. Not all movie sets anyway. I mean, there are some that have been around for a while. But I mean, generally speaking, they just build facades. They just build like ramshackle buildings just to be able to film in. And then after that, they're either left to rot like most of the stuff in Tunisia they filmed Star Wars at, which has somehow lasted for 40, 50 years.
It's like it's still there though. That is the crazy.
Or they're just torn down, or they're sold for somebody. A lot of times, if they film on location, they'll pay to like refurbish a building, and then they'll change some signage after they've been filming or something like that. But they don't usually build temporary sets to last for very long. The fact that it withstood a hurricane, that's some pretty good craftsmanship.
I mean, it's almost like for Shawshank Redemption, they built some reformatory back in like the fucking turn of the century, and it's still there. You're like, yeah, we should film a movie.
That was kind of my problem with the bar in this one. Like the double deuce in the original film, it starts out, it's ugly as sin. It's, for a good time call written on the wall. There's, glass broken everywhere. Looks like garbage. And as Dalton, right. And as Dalton, he fires this guy. He takes this step. Oh, well, you're dealing drugs. You're doing that. As he makes it better, the bar looks better as it goes. And by the end of it, it looks awesome. This one, they just don't care. They change nothing. And by the end of it, they end up destroying. It looks worse at the end of the bar than it does at the beginning. But I don't know. I don't like how they did it.
They didn't crash a boat through it. Kind of doesn't help the reset.
Right. That's what I'm saying.
Even in South Florida.
That's what I'm saying.
To be honest.
And, I would have liked to have seen a kind of an. Obviously, they didn't call this the double deuce because, they wanted to be different. I get it. Fine. It's not a deal breaker for me. But the bar itself is a character. The music is. So many of these things are characters in a Roadhouse film that they paid zero attention to. And it blatantly shows. So, I don't know.
They got that crane there to get that boat out of the fucking.
Yeah, they weren't. Honestly, weren't too wrapped up in telling the story. It was all about, okay, how many times can we get Jake Gyllenhaal and Conor McGregor to fight on camera? And I'm just like, for all that, you just put them in the octagon, let them fight for a couple hours, record it, and just put it out as a fake UFC fight.
I mean, they did. Didn't he get in the boat? He's like, look, we got our own little octagon. Who taught you shapes? I mean, that was pretty funny. That was actually.
If you want to make a movie about the UFC, about Jake Gyllenhaal, Steve, he plays Steve in this movie versus a Conor McGregor type guy, and it's a UFC movie. I'll take my money now. I'll be there to watch it. Just don't call it Roadhouse because that's not Roadhouse. You know what I mean? It's a different kind of film. But I feel like I don't know. I feel like they use this for name recognition more than anything.
Oh, for sure. Let me throw this at you guys real quick before we get out of here. I'm done with the trivia now, but I had a thought earlier, and I want to throw it out there. The beginning of the movie, the whole thing with Post Malone in the underground fighting thing, part of me was just like,
I already forgot about that. Yeah.
I was like, I was kind of hoping Post Malone was going to come wandering into the Roadhouse at some point.
Yeah,
and because I don't know if it would have worked, and maybe this is just the fan in me wanting that Sam Elliott kind of character. But I was just like, I feel like you could have had him walk in at some point and be like, oh, I can fight with Dalton and not fight against him and get my ass kicked and lose all this money. And then maybe he could have thrown hands with a couple of people in the bar and gotten involved. I mean, look, I'm not saying make him the same Elliot character. I'm not saying make him even more of an important character. I'm just like,
he should have called him Miho at some point. That would have been great.
He was
that would have been tremendous.
He was fun in the beginning part of the movie, and I was like, I hope he pops back in at some point. And he never did, and I got it. I was like, okay, he was just kind of fodder in the beginning, but I was like, I didn't mind him as that fighter in the beginning of the movie, and I was kind of like, hopefully he pops back up. I mean, Tex, do you think it would have been fun if he'd have popped back in? Again, I don't know how integral he would have been to the plot of the movie or to the moment, but it would have been fun to see him.
I have never been a Post Malone rap fan, but he is from my area of the Dallas variety up here, hardcore cowboy fan. He's been recently made his way into the country music world, which he's not a bad country singer. If you like country music, check out his stuff. He does some real traditional type songs. I like Post Malone in this movie. I wouldn't have done him as the Wade role, but have him be like a younger, make him like a younger Wade who thinks he's as philosophical as Sam Elliott was in the original, but just Post Malone doing it. But keep it comical, and I think it could have worked. But yeah, I like Post Malone. I think he's cool. So I wanted more of him too.
Because they marketed him pretty hard. I mean, he even had his own character poster made. I was like, that's an awful lot of marketing to spend on some guy who's only going to be in the first 5 minutes of the movie and not appear again. I mean, obviously they're trying to draw a little bit off his name because it is Post Malone. He's tremendously popular. Yeah. But I mean, it's like if you're gonna market him, it's like put him in the movie a little bit more. Fuck it. I mean, look, you've already basically made a 2-hour-long fight scene between Conor McGregor and Jake Gyllenhaal. Why not let Post Malone go in and slap a few guys around just for fun?
I mean, because he even did say again, which I know it's just supposed to be like another little stab at the bar owner, where he's like, when he's walking away, he's like, "Look, I told you from the beginning, you should have called him." That would have been your in, where she could have been like, maybe I'll give him a call just to be sure. And then like he shows up, like you said, at the end. That could have been your way in, but yeah, because like he immediately he sees him come in the ring and he's like, no, I'm not fighting him. But it's like he knows who he is, and I know he's a big UFC fighter, but that still could have been that level of respect where he's like, yeah, I know who you are. I'm not fighting against you, man. But yeah, maybe Frankie could have called him or something, and then he just came in at the end of the movie and helped him out. I don't know.
I mean, I hate gratuitous cameos just for the sake of gratuitous cameos, but I mean, let's face it, this movie it's not like it wasn't high art. It wasn't like a Marvel movie where we don't want to squeeze in too many useless cameos.
Conor McGregor is an entire cameo.
He is a cameo in it.
I mean, Conor McGregor just plays himself in this movie. That's all Conor McGregor does. He's being himself. He's just being him. I mean, he could have just been hanging out and not even realizing he was being filmed. He just thought this.
He just walked on set. We didn't have the heart to tell him no. we just let him go. He picked up a golf club, man. I just kept rolling the damn camera.
Are you man enough to walk up to Conor McGregor and say, "No, you can't be here now"? No. Because you're probably going to end up leaving in a body bag. But good luck. Yeah.
I'm not going to lie. When you guys were talking earlier, I was trying really, really hard to find an image of the post-credit scene where he's walking out in that gown with his ass hanging out.
So I'm like, did he live? Sequel? I don't know what we're doing, but okay.
Well, I mean, they've already said they're greenlighting a sequel, so I mean,
he'll be back. He'll be back. There's no way they're not going to bring back Conor McGregor. Yeah.
Well, you did kind of leave there that, like, he just straight up snapped the kid's neck. I was like, you shouldn't have done that, right? Because now the dad's going to be pissed. Yeah. And he's going to come out of prison like the freaking dad from Boondock Saints, and he's going to fucking kill you, man. So maybe there's your sequel. I don't know.
Like I said, I was just looking around for a shot of him walking out with the gown and his ass hanging out, and it's not on the internet that I can quickly find. So sorry, ladies. I thought that was hilarious. I mean, it wasn't quite as funny as the opening scene where I guess the husband came in and caught him doing whatever with the woman, and he's just walking around naked until he finds the guy and steals his jacket.
That right there is going to be my first outfit in GTA 6. I'm telling you, it's just going to be the jacket.
No pants, just the fancy suit coat. Just the
It'd be on par. I'm telling you.
That's a Fortnite skin. That's the Fortnite skin we need. Conor McGregor wearing just the jacket.
Oh my God, that'd be amazing. Yeah.
Tell me that they would not break records for how many people bought a skin.
Yeah.
Tell me that would blow up way bigger than the John Wick skin. Way bigger. But anyway, that's all. Let me get you guys' final thoughts real quick. I'll start with you, Tex. Give me your final thoughts on the remake of Roadhouse.
This movie sucks. Go watch the original. That's my final thoughts.
Jeremy, how about you? Give me some of your final thoughts on the movie.
No, I didn't hate it. It was a fun watch, and like I said, I can appreciate a good fight movie. There are better ways to do a fight movie, though. I think that's really my criticism. And again, I try to not let it get in the forefront of my mind because, again, it was a fun ride, and there were some parts that made me laugh. He had the humor and the timing, and some of the stuff was, it worked. But again, it's no Patrick Swayze, it's no Sam Elliott. But and like Tex said, there's you got the original to watch, so yeah, kind of mid.
Yeah, I think the fight scenes are fun. I mean, this movie. I mean, look, just watch these two. That's all you. That's all.
Someone edit that into a fight card.
Those they're on.
That's it.
The fight scenes are on YouTube. Don't even give Amazon a click for watching this. Just go to YouTube, put in Roadhouse 2024 fight scenes. You've seen all the good parts. Hell with everything else. Just go there and watch that.
Yeah, you're not wrong.
Yeah.
You're not wrong. For me, like I said, it was a fun kind of mindless action movie with a lot of cool fights.
And again,
character development wasn't really there. I mean, yeah, they developed Jake Gyllenhaal's character because they had to. Conor McGregor, while wildly entertaining for this entire movie, is basically just playing the same character that Jason Momoa played in the last Fast and Furious movie. He's just so over the top. He's funny. He's goofy. He's lethal. He is basically the exact same that Momoa was in the Fast and Furious, which is fine because Jason Momoa is the only thing that made the last Fast and Furious movie watchable too. So I mean, it's kind of the same thing. Past that, plot was meh. It was on a good day. It was average. The supporting characters had no place in this movie at all. They just weren't there. They at times tried to give you a little bit of an emotional connection to the little girl Charlie at the bookstore. Never gets time. The whole relationship with the doctor, I wouldn't have minded seeing like them build up a little bit of a romance between, but that just never happens. This movie is basically a 2-hour-long fight between Conor McGregor and Jake Gyllenhaal, which wasn't bad. But I mean, I wanted something more. I wanted something a lot more than that. But you can go check it out if you have an Amazon Prime subscription and it's on Prime. You can go watch it there. It's 2 hours of your life you're not going to get back. That's my only worry about this movie is you probably won't be entirely fulfilled unless you're one of those people that goes and sees Fast and Furious in the theater 17 times because that's the movie. I
might bring back the words of the great Sam Elliott from the original of this series and cut that fucker loose as when it comes to this film. Just cut it loose and go back watch the good ones.
Well, look, I say
that would be
I say
he's still alive. Hell, he could have been somewhere in this movie, but no,
he could have been. But look, I'd say
he could have been the dad in prison. That'd have been funny.
That would have been funny. I'd say give every movie a shot. If you don't like it, then just don't go back and watch it again. I mean, what's that guy at the Food Network? That's a 2-bite rule. He has to take 2 bites of everything before he decides whether he likes it or not. I mean, try every movie. If it's not your cup of tea, don't watch it again.
That's like, the one time apparently our channel blew up when we did, a fucking episode about anime. I tell people that rule. I'm like, watch at least 2 because obviously the first one's going to just be maybe not the good stuff. What I'm trying to say is like, it'll be the wild thing. It'll be something that kind of grabs your attention and you're kind of like, the hell was that? Because then you watch the second episode and then it might start getting real. The plot might start getting put out there in the exposition. Then it's like, oh, well, here we go. Here it goes. Watch at least 2 episodes of an anime because then you'll probably know if you actually like it or not.
Yeah, but do us a favor, share the stream, do all that stuff that YouTubers tell you to do. I hate being that guy, but I mean, I'll do it just now just because, why the hell not? Thanks to my amazing co-host for coming to hang out with me tonight. Lady Cora will be on here. I don't know if she'll be on here for the next couple because it's scary. So
true.
So Lady Cora might be taking the next
probably not
the next few streams off. It's not like we're going horror comedy either. We're going pretty hard.
Right.
So she probably won't be around for the next few, but but she'll be back when she feels it's appropriate for her viewing case. We'll say that. Thanks to my hitter life mate, Jeremy. Where can the folks at home find you, my friend?
Whenever Frank doesn't forget what day it is.
All day long on fucking Wednesday.
Tomorrow's Thursday, so I'll be here then. Or Wednesday. So you got me fucked up. Thursday, Tuesday, whatever day. It could be any day. Who cares? I need to go to sleep. You already fucked me up now. I think my full name in there. Whatever. It's down in the description. You know where to. You know how the internet works. That's why you're here. That was it.
And to the shape from the Lone Star State, my man Tex, where can the folks at home find you, sir?
I will be here the next Thursday and Tuesday telling you why Rob Zombie's Firefly family is equal to the Sawyer and or Hewitt families within horror, and just praising love upon these films. So go watch House of a Thousand Corpses and Devil's Rejects as just your homework ahead of time, because it's fun and they're awesome movies. They're both free on Tubi. You can watch them tonight. So, go check them out. We'll be here Thursday.
You will find me back here on Thursday, dipping into the big-time horror stuff, going Rob Zombie. Tex is going to be doing the next couple of reviews with a gigantic correction, I promise. Hopefully it won't get into camera, all that. We don't get in trouble with YouTube. But, we're going full-on deep horror this time. Look.
We'll be doing
these movies
official clown business is what we'll be on, right?
Yeah, these movies are well-regarded in the horror circles, so I have
Yep.
It'll be fun to watch, so we'll get to that next week. Thanks to my amazing co-host for coming by and doing this with me, as always. We will see you guys on Thursday. While we do House of Thousand Corpses. We will see you guys then. Till then, adios. All day long.
They needed a roundhouse. They needed a roundhouse to kick this movie into the fucking ocean with it.
Also, right there, were they ever going to explain the two the bars on his neck? They kept fucking showing it, and they never explained it.
Well, he's gay. Isn't that the equality sign? That's going to be how you draw the next movie if he's going to come out as gay. That's how they do it in Hollywood.
I don't know.
Hey, they have to have one woke character minimum. So, he wasn't very into that little lady doctor, so maybe he's looking for something with a wang, you know what I mean? Who knows?
Maybe.